welcome to episode 21 of the Live Motocross podcast. Now, we've got a bit of a special one for you this week. One, I've wrote Mr. Callum Swan into coming and co-hosting with me. Callum?
I'm here, loud and clear. Do you know what blew my mind the most? Is that I thought it was live motocross. That's how dyslexic that I am. So there we are. So the Live Motocross podcast. And I'm here.
Well, every day is a school day.
It is. You learn something every day. Sorry, Gareth.
So we've also got an extra special guest on the podcast with us this week, affectionately known as Mad John. It's Mr. John Adamson. Hello, welcome.
Hello, loud and clear over here. Well, as clear as Scottish can be, but definitely here.
To be fair, actually, just to give him some credit, we've just had a little chat before this, haven't we? And I can understand him. A lot of the time, and you live near Glasgow as well, don't you?
Well, yeah, I'm from Glasgow, but I live in Portsmouth now, so maybe I've lost. Right, okay. Maybe I've learned to pronounce my words a bit better.
Yeah. Well, not better, just not Scottish. You know, we're all different.
Yeah.
Hey, you're talking to a fellow Scot as well here. Be careful.
Hey, I've got a little bit in me. I think we all have, haven't we? You know, you sit around everyone. Oh, I'm quarter Scottish and quarter Irish and all that. Yeah.
I get that all the time. My gran was from here, and you're like, all right.
Yeah. I really don't care, mate. It's not bothered. Are you a human being? Now that'll do.
Yeah.
That's it. So to start off the podcast, we normally do a bit of a rundown of the riders' history, how they kind of got started in the sport. Now, John, from what I know about you, you started off pretty much just you and your dad, you know, rocking up to race meetings, and that was it. Was it right?
Yeah, just until a year and a half ago, it's always just been me and my dad, just with a couple of bikes in a van, and we went racing. So it's only in the very recent past that it's actually I've been part of a organisation, so to speak.
You've elevated very quickly though, haven't you? You know, like, because I can't, like, even me looking back, I mean, I never paid too much attention to the amateur stuff, Sophie, but I can't, you weren't like a standout guy for me in my head. I mean, I don't know whether you did a lot of like Scottish races, things like that. I mean, you obviously would have done. But no, you seem to have like gone from like being a little bit round the corner to sort of like, you know, now you're sort of somebody that actually people talk about, you know.
Yeah, no, that's about right. I was nothing special in the amateurs, or even I had a few quite good results once we got into the MXY2, but consistency was always a struggle. So it was just like kind of a good result and then nothing really to talk about. And then obviously I quit racing a couple of years ago. Well, I've only started back. This is only my third year racing again. Mm-hmm. So once I was kind of in the MXY2 and went into the pro class, I did one season, and then I just went and did what normal 18-year-olds do. Just went away and, lived a bit of a party life, and then soon enough that gets born, and then racing was everything. So.
But you may as well have done that, because if you haven't made it, like, you know, Sophie, you've been around motocross for a long time. If you're not doing, you know, GPs and stuff at the age of 16 and at the sharp end, then you are never going to be a millionaire or make really good money out of motocross. So you may as well live your life.
Absolutely,
I mean, you probably did the right thing. Not
only that as well. Once I'd done that, it was done. I wasn't kind of caught in between. Do I want to ride motorbikes or do I want to go and party at the weekend? It was definitely that's done, and then we're moving on to the next thing, and that was the bikes. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like there was no, do I want to go out my bike or do I want to go with my mates and get bevied at the weekend? It was, let's go and ride our bikes.
This is it. So how did it start out for you sort of when you were younger? Is it something that you've kind of started riding later on in life, or?
No, bikes have always been around for me. My dad's got a motorbike shop in Paisley. So since a very young age, they've always kind of been there. And then my brother had motocross bikes. So when I was 3, I got a shot in one. And it just progressed into when I was 6, I started racing. And then you just go right through all the classes until
you started riding at 3? That's young.
Well, just in the back garden, and that's where my crashing started. I literally drove it across the garden, straight into the fence, across the garden, and that was it. So even so, from the very first time riding the bike, I was crashing into fences, and then the trip in Italy, I was still crashing bikes into fences. It's nothing.
It's kind of stuck with you then.
Yeah.
Hey, you rode good. You rode really good. There's a strong field there. I mean, I'm telling you, that class was no joke, was it? You rode bloody well.
Yeah, I hadn't even watched any of them, so I never even really knew who was who or what was what. I just went over and just
helps though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I just went over and just for the experience, and I never really had any expectations. I just wanted, if I thought I'd rode well myself, I was happy. So, and then obviously as the week progressed, the speed was good. So, although I didn't get the result I wanted at the end, I was still happy with how the week went.
Mm-hmm. So going back to sort of when you started growing up and starting racing and things like that, how did that progress into deciding, you and your dad, for example, right, I want to go and do the British? Like, at what point did you two decide that's where we need to go next?
Well, we raced in Scotland, and it's always just like there was one or two fast guys, and we were kind of winning quite a lot of stuff up here. And then obviously once you've kind of climbed that ladder, you just look to the next one, which was obviously the British. So we never really. I wasn't one of the kids that was doing the British in the 65s or anything. The first full season of the British I did, I think, was in the big wheel 85s, which so I kind of missed the very small bikes.
Yeah, missed the curve a little bit. I bet that was a shock, wasn't it, going from Scotland to racing, you know, that sort of elite level, you know, with the 85s.
I just couldn't, like, in Scotland, it was just like people going and playing on their bikes, and then you went down south to the British and it was like boys all crashing into each other and proper racing. The field where there's the depth in field was just something.
Especially when you did it, like it was really deep, wasn't it?
Oh yeah,
I think some of the best racing as well, like you see from the big wheel 85 class, and that's not just in England, that's everywhere, isn't it? I mean, because that's where you are really trying to prove. That's where when people are looking and going, right, is this kid going to make it, or is he just going to fizzle out? You know what I mean? Like, and that's where you got to get your foot in, isn't it, and really get on with it.
Yeah, I think people can like get that in their head a bit too much. Like, I never did anything until just recently. So
yeah, which is unusual. Which is really unusual.
Yeah, as you say, as you were talking about earlier, unless kids do have a ride now when they're so young, especially with the age limits in MX2 and EMX, unless they've got their foot in the door early, then certainly on a world stage, they're probably not going to make that big an impact. But you can still play on bikes for a living in Britain if you're good enough, which
100% you can, especially if you're smart enough with how you sell yourself to, you know, sponsors and all that sort of things as well, and then do your own bits and bobs on the side with coaching, like a lot of the lads do. There's without doubt you can make a living enjoying motocross.
Yeah, so there's different levels. People say like you didn't make it or whatever, but maybe you just didn't make it to the very elite level. But there is only a very small portion that do that. So still be a good life just in Britain and doing the odd thing.
Mate, for sure. And people would dream to be at that, you know, being able to do what you're doing at the level you're at. You know, it can sometimes, the leap to go do MXGP stuff, like you had a taste of it this weekend. Could you imagine the cost of doing that every week? Like, you know, it's just not it's not feasible without
astronomical.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we did it with Spinksy, and I saw the bills, and it was frightening.
And especially now with COVID, makes it even more expensive when you're like, we were away and it's COVID tests every 5 days, and there's 4 of us, so you're like 260 quid every 5 days in COVID tests.
Those things go.
No way.
Yeah. It was ridiculous, and there's just also, I think we had to get 3 of them when we were away. So you're like 750 quid just in COVID tests before you fling in all sorts of other expenses.
That's insane. Sophie, have you seen how deep they go up your nose?
Oh, stop it. Don't. I got sent one yesterday to home and I literally opened the packet, looked at it and thought there was no freaking way that was going near me.
That's deep, isn't it? Like, it shocked me.
They weren't shy in Italy either. I think there was a bit of a language barrier. Just rammed it right up there.
And like you have to do the little twist, don't you? Oh, mate, I was watching Moto Spy the other night, and Cooper Webb sat there in the car one so deep up, and I was like, Jesus Christ, I didn't realise they were that long.
Nah, gives me the EBGBs if I'm honest. Not for me. Not for me. So moving back to you then, John, what's happening in your world? What have you been doing?
Well, I just got back home yesterday. Or Monday, just from Italy, so it's a bit of off time for me just now, just a week off, and then I'm moving down to MX2 next year, so go back down and start because the season's ran on so late, we're pretty much starting our off-season training in a week's time, and then so the fitness training in a week's time before we head out to Spain, hopefully through the winter. And get some bike time in the MX2. So we're going to do the ACU British Championship on the MX2 bike and hopefully see where we can place in that.
That's mega.
Yeah, that is cool. Are you going to have to cut a bit of weight and stuff?
Yeah.
What are you trying to say, Sonny?
Well, no, I mean, seriously, man, it helps. On the MX2 bike, I know Josh got down to a really lightweight when he was doing EMX. Like, he was almost ill with, like, with trying to cut as much weight as you can. And it is, I think it is a natural factor in it. But
yeah, I'm quite short.
How serious you want to make it, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm quite short in stature, so I'm not the heaviest bloke anyways. But yeah, maybe stay away from the square sausage when I'm up the road.
God, I love that stuff.
I was going to say, do you even know what it is, Swanee?
Oh, I love it. Yeah. It's just pure, like, pornography in a sausage. I just love it. Like, honestly. If I'm in Scotland, mate, I'm having one. Like, flat out. Love it. Good stuff.
Oh, God. I think we have it on back order at our house. Like, the freezer's just stuck full of it.
So good, isn't it?
Yeah. So, obviously, John, just back from Italy, give us a rundown on what that was like for you lining up with them boys. Did you find it pretty daunting or not?
I wouldn't say daunting. To be honest, I just sat in the line and I knew that I was there because of my results and I'd worked hard to get to that space. So I sat in the line thinking that I should be sitting there as much as anybody else. So I wouldn't have said daunted. I was more just excited and really looking forward to seeing how. I just like the whole big event. It was just, I don't know, unless you've been there, it's just something quite special. Just sitting there, just knowing that this is a kind of big stage and it's where you've always dreamt of being. So, well, not quite the biggest stage, but you're in the mix.
It's the same thing, isn't it? You get the atmosphere and all that sort of stuff. It's all the same. And to be fair, it must be quite unusual. It's a lot more daunting, I imagine, if the hillsides are filled with people. And there's all Tim Geiser fans everywhere in yellow shirts and stuff. So I suppose it's a shame that you didn't get that taste of the of what it is like when it is full and packed out with people.
Yeah, definitely. Still, Italy especially was just like the setting there was absolutely spectacular. It was just such a nice place.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it?
Even if the track probably didn't suit me the best, but like as a GP, the surrounding and just everything that goes with it it's definitely one on the calendar that you would go and visit.
Yeah, I think there's more to that place than just the track, isn't there? It's the
absolutely,
it's the aura and so. I've never actually been there. I don't know whether you have, Sophie, but from looking, it looked phenomenal.
Yeah, we went over last year to was it last year, year before, for the Junior World Championships that were at that track, and it's really weird. Like, I don't know if you noticed this when you went, John, but there's like a really not weird actually, quite a nice vibe about the place.
When I got there, you just think, who decided to put a motocross track all the way up here?
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, you would never expect them to hold. It's just a quiet little town. You would never expect them to hold such big events there.
It's bizarre, isn't it? It must take. They're looking at the dirt of the track as well. It must take so much prep to get that got to that level.
Yeah.
And like people after my crash, people say, "How did you knock yourself out? It doesn't even look that big a track, but underneath that kind of loose soil on the top, it's as hard as tarmac. So the ground's absolutely stone hard, and yeah."
Now, we did have a little bit of a chat before we started recording actually today about your nickname of Mad John. Now, you are known for being a bit of a crasher, but it seems to be your response to crashing afterwards that's earned you the nickname of Mad John. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I don't know, after you have a big crash or something, you just seem to, I don't know what your body releases, but it must be an adrenaline buzz or something. So when you jump up and smile or have a little laugh, people seem to think you're not right in the head. But, don't know.
Oh, God.
I think,
yeah.
But I don't think any of us are quite right in the head, are we? So...
Yeah, this is very true.
You're doing that, yeah. I mean, like that's. I can relate though. I can relate. It's one of those bizarre things, isn't it? When it's the fear of actually something crazy happening to you, and then you're like, "Well, God, I'm all right."
Yeah, that's what I say to people as well. That's what makes motocross exciting. The danger part of it. If you were going to crash and be all right every single time, then it'd be slightly boring, wouldn't it? That'd
be like playing a PlayStation game, wouldn't it? You know what I mean?
The danger and the risk of hurting yourself is the exciting part to me.
I've got a story about something on those lines. I need to tell you about it afterwards. So.
Oh, you don't want to drop it in now, no?
Oh, I can do if you really want to. It's how I first became good friends with Josh. We was at Mallory Park. Can you remember Mallory Motocross track, John?
No.
It was really, really hard packed. And the guy that owns it, he was water in the straight. So like you loop back down the straight and it was really long and fast, like fourth gear pinned. And he's just got this flipping massive hose and he's just soaking it on a summer's day. And I hit it and just slipped and went flying, mate. I was fourth gear, full chat. I went flying, but gambolling down the straight, ended up on the other side of the track. Josh stopped and was like, "You all right?" And I was like, fucking hell. It was one of them moments I was like, I'm not dead. Oh my God. Like, how? And I was really excited, and that's how we sort of met, and then how we got talking. So I can really relate to that sort of feeling, John, where you're like,
I had that moment
my God.
in Italy in qualifying. We're coming down the first big downhill. I was on a qualifying lap, and I went for a tear off, and then because I'd been roosted off the guy in front of me, missed the handlebars, went into a big tank slapper, shot through. I seen the metal catch fencing coming round Italy. They've got like these big steel poles with metal catch fencing in between. I seen that coming, still didn't have my hands on the handlebars.
Oh
so
my God.
So I sat back off the bike smashed through all the catch fence, and just as that was happening, a little official on his moped was driving past. So I managed to smash through the catch fence and crash into him, go over the top of him, got up, and I was...
You did it!
Yeah, I was running about, I kind of jumped up, he gave me the thumbs up, and I just took my transponder and ran away before the medics could come over. got this spare bike and went out in qualifying. Because it was some mess, the front of the bike.
It's the ones that go on for so long, though, isn't it? You know, like when you're rolling or it's just happening for a long time. The amount of adrenaline building.
I had enough time to see the expression on the guy's face before I hit him. But it must have been only a split second. But as you say, it seems to go on forever.
Oh God, yeah, it's weird. It's what they call flow state, isn't it? Where people can go into, like, everything slows down a little bit, doesn't it? It's flipping crazy. Yeah. Crazy. I love it though.
I don't know if you guys have seen this as well, but I think you have actually, Swanee. There's a post been flying around this week on social media about the whole wage thing, and lads, you know, Did you see it yesterday?
Yeah, I saw that. But Gautier Paulhan's really revved up about it, isn't he?
He's literally just dropped the bomb on everything and saying lads are getting paid nothing for what they're doing for their riding.
It's shocking, mate. It really is shocking. I think we all need as a community to sort that out, because it's just flat out wrong, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It seems like even in Britain, help to get, like, not even getting paid, but just getting stuff to promote, like, say even a set of boots or whatever, helmets, even just to get that sort of stuff for free now is an ongoing battle. It's difficult unless it's like they don't even really care about your results now. It's more your social media following.
Social media.
Yeah.
I've been really looking into this and looking at ways how riders can help themselves and fixing it. And some people don't agree with me, and I've looked at a lot of things, and I think it's the rider's fault. Say, John, you're sponsored by I don't know, a shop. Let's say like Gabriel or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, you should, as a rider, they should provide you with an advertising budget for your social media. Now,
absolutely.
So you sponsor posts for them from your social media, because it will go out to a bigger reach and bigger following than their social media. And then that is a quantifiable reason to sponsor somebody. And I really think that riders need to start modernising the way they think about that, and how to have a pullback from, they're using their database basically to get feedback and to push people towards the right areas, like whether it's Alpine style boots or whatever. That's what I've done with Giveaway Life, Sophie, with Tommy. I don't know if you know that. We've used Tommy's social media to do all our advertising. Because why would we use ours when he's got 120,000 followers?
Exactly.
And we've paid him for it for the week, but it's...
The thing is as well, like every company, like we had this conversation the other day with someone about every company will have, one, a marketing budget, two, an allowance for product, things like that. There is always that buffer, and even the smallest companies will have that sort of budget.
Of course they do, yeah.
But it's almost like, one, I think riders are probably, if not a little bit scared to even ask that question, or one, they don't know how to go about doing that, or two, they think, oh, well, they're giving me 3 sets of kit for the year. I don't want to ask them for anything else.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep, definitely.
Yeah, because you don't want to push your luck, because next year you might, you think, oh, well, if I take the piss, I'm not going to get anything. But it really people need to look at, like for Bill Bates, for example, pulling out of Thorpe's team.
Yeah, that was a shock to me.
I'm not surprised, because how does Bill Bates, how the hell can they quantify what they're getting back from doing that? If you're an accountant in Bill Bates and you go, well, how are we making anything from this? What's like, where, and they're like, well, don't know. Like, but if the team had their own website and there was a link to Bill Base and there was like a 10% code or something where you get a discount on your building supplies and stuff like that, and then they encouraged all motocross riders to go through that link to buy their building supplies, then Bill Base could look at it and go, oh, look, we get 50 grand a year from that link. That's worth sponsoring that team. So it's all, I think it's down to us as a community to really think and wake up about how we're using sponsorship and stuff.
Absolutely.
But then ultimately, it's unfair, really, because it gives you lads like you, John, another job to do other than training and riding your bike, which is the downside to it.
Yeah, I was just lucky with Simon that I've never really been good at the whole social media thing. I just went and rode my bike and that was about it. So I was just really lucky with the right time, right place, and a team that I seem to get along with well. Because
he seems like a nice guy,
yeah, he's just in it for the sport, which was brilliant for me. But yeah, I think there is lots of riders that get a lot of stuff just from, as you say, having a huge social media following, which is totally understandable from those businesses, because you get their product out to a large number of people.
This is it as well. I think a lot of the time people forget that, one, social media is free. Riders have got a free tool to market themselves. You haven't then got to sit there and think, oh, I've got to pay to put that post out, unless obviously you start the whole boosting situation, and that's another ball game.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes riders, they kind of just, obviously they just want to go and ride the bike. That's all they want to do.
Of course they do, yeah.
But I think some of them need to kind of sit down and maybe look at stuff and think, well, this person is giving me X amount of stuff or that amount of support.
Mm-hmm.
Like it works both ways. Like I work with brands personally for stuff, whether it's in kit, motocross kit, bike leathers, jewelry, random stuff.
Yeah.
But the first thing I ask that person when they come to me and say, do you want to do something? I was like, well, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
What can I give back? And I think sometimes riders maybe don't think that way. They're all kind of quick to take stuff, but
yeah, definitely. And I don't blame them either.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they're doing a hard enough job just competing at that level.
Yeah.
And that's why, it is but the problem is there's not always going to be a Simon there. Who's passionate, who loves motocross. Like if I had all the money in the world, I'd throw it into a GP. I love it. I absolutely love it. But there's not everybody is people.
Yeah, a lot of folk
Simon,
want a return from it. As you say, if they are giving you free kit or whatever, they want some sort of return. And as Sophie said, it's good to ask them up front what they expect in return, because it's very
That's
rare.
That's a very good thing to say, yeah.
Very rare you get something for nothing. It's always give and take, isn't it? So,
that's just the way that works, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I always try to explain to people that people ask me, they're like, oh, well, how do you start working with brands and things like that? Drop them a message. That's what social media is for. Yeah. Drop them a message. Even if they don't want to work with you right now, it might be a case of you've planted the seed then. So, for example, riders at this time of year where they're looking for, new deals or new rides or all that sort of stuff, it's really important to start planting seeds.
Yeah, and also you can say, okay, I understand that you can't help me now. Is there anything that would change that? Like, what could I do? Mm-hmm. Do you want me to have more following? What do you want me to do? Like, because I need to know. So then, someone gives you a little bit, right, okay, I'll go away. I've gone charged up to get 3,000 followers somehow over the next 12 months. You can do it. Like it's crazy. It really upsets me, like John, and that you have to do that. And it's
the sort of thing that used to annoy me. You used to think, well, why is this guy getting all this? And you can go out and beat him week in, week out. But if you look at it from the supplier's point of view, if they've got 10,000 Instagram followers, or you can see why their product gets seen by a lot more folk. And a lot of the time people just buy stuff because it's cool or whatever. So if they see it on Instagram and it looks nice, they can order it there and then. It's
especially if you have like a swipe up and all that sort of stuff. It can you can really use those tools effectively. Especially for someone with a few followers.
Me and my dad used to have this argument all the time, and I would just tell him I don't care. All I want to do is go fast. But that was probably the wrong attitude to have.
But there is that element of that. I can't remember.
I used to just tell him, you'll get noticed if you're at the front, because he would always say, oh, you'll get noticed on social media, and I would just always say, if you're if you're on the podium, you can't not get noticed.
I think it's Heyman at the minute. I think Charlie Heyman, I'm pretty sure. I don't know whether he has Instagram or not. He may do. I'm not. But I was like, why? I know there's one of the big wheels that I definitely noticed at the MX Nationals. I was trying to find them on Instagram, and I was like, why have they not got Instagram? And I was thinking to myself, really trying to put my head in my hand and be like, you are missing a massive trick.
Oh, definitely.
You are going to literally ruin your career because no one knows. Which is
crazy that needs to be the case, but
mental, absolutely mental. But it's just, it's part of it now, isn't it? It really. And in America, I mean, like there's evident a lot more fans, because you'll see like a rider go from Europe to America, and they'll get like 50,000 followers, because they'll go through their media outlets, but their media outlets obviously have a lot more reach than our media outlets do. It's all a big chain, isn't it? Like a snowball effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we all need to get better at it.
Maybe that could be our new venture, Swanee. We start doing classes.
Yeah.
Riders.
I'm game.
I'll meet up my selfie game then for Instagram, try and get some followers.
Hey, I will manage your Instagram, mate, for 12 grand a year. Like, we could do a deal, £1,000 a month.
You'd be surprised, that's what some people charge.
Serious, yeah.
Yeah, I've had people message me saying, we'll do this programme on you and you can tell us all about your career and stuff and we'll film you. And then it's like, it'll be 4 to 6 grand. And I just think, well, I could have a new bike for that.
Yeah, but they're literally the genuine choices you have to make. But by doing that, someone might buy you a new bike.
I know, but yeah.
That's the risk, isn't it? Like, that's the chance.
But if you go in with your 6 grand, you can 100% buy your new bike. You don't need to think, is someone going to buy me it?
That's true.
Yeah.
So, John, obviously, we've touched on slightly about what you're getting up to in the next few months, but what's the plan for you next year? What have you got going on?
Well, I just seen that the ECU have released their dates, which I think it was an 18-round championship, so that's going to take up most of our year. But yeah, we'll be doing MX2, and well, Simon really enjoyed the EMX Open, and I think he's keen to do some more of them. But I seen we're not too sure yet. We just need to wait and see what gets released. But in Britain, it's going to be MX2. And so looking forward to a new adventure on that.
I think people are going to be gagging to get out to watch the motocross. Like we've all been cooped up for so long. I just want to see people in one place.
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, strange. Come on, get this vaccine out quick. Stop messing about with it. I want to get out of the house.
It's almost like I had this conversation about how, people, like you say, they might be keen to get back to a track and watch, but now obviously everyone is going down the live streaming route. The content that's being created at racing seems to be, the game's been stepped up. So
we've all had to, haven't we? We've had to.
Yeah, exactly.
There's been no, like the MX Nationals last year, there was no option to bother to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Had to do it. It was.
But then is that going to then counteract people coming to actually watch on the weekend? Do you think that we'll still get the same amount of numbers, or do you think people can obviously just sit on their sofa at home and watch it?
I don't know. What do you? Yeah, you go, John. You
for
go
a
first.
lot of folk, it's a weekend away as well, isn't it? It's almost like a mini break or a mini holiday, and there's nothing like going to a live event. So I don't think people. I think if they miss it. If they've got a busy weekend, you can catch up on the TV, but I don't think it should affect it too much.
I think the people, Sophie, who used to go anyway and always be there are not of the generation of people that would just log on and watch it online. That's how I feel. I think that we'll always have that group of people who want to be there. Like myself, I want to smell it. I want to be there. I want to talk to the guys. I want to live it. You know what I mean?
I think it could attract outside people in as well, because they see it on the TV, and they've probably a lot of folk have never seen motocross before. So they kind of if I tell somebody I do motocross, a lot of people, especially up this way, haven't even heard of it. Especially a lot of my friends watch the MX from Italy on the MX GP TV, and they all want to come, and they always say, whenever you're racing close, tell me where it is and we'll come and watch. And that's just from them watching on TV, because nobody really has a real understanding unless you've been and seen it or you've watched it. People just think it's like driving motorbikes around a grassy field.
Yeah, it's difficult, and it's a difficult sell to TV as well. Because I've said this to a lot of people before. I see, Longo. I see his vision of making this MXGP class and then the feeder class MX2. Because can you imagine, right? You're John, who just loves watching sports on a Sunday, and he watches, British superbikes and stuff like that. And then you've got the motocross on, and you're like, fucking hell, I've got to watch. I've got to watch 4 hours. I've got to watch 2 hours of MX2, 2 hours of MX. What the fuck? I'm not watching that. Like,
there's so much bikes. Yeah.
Like there needs to be, the only thing that goes onto TV needs to be like the super final. It should be like a super final MXGP race on a weekend.
Yeah.
So there is other races, but then there's one race that's televised and it's put into an hour slot where you've got all the build up and all that shit, and it's a fucking super final, and Mick from next door can watch it while he's eating his Sunday dinner. You know, that's the only way you will get motocross to people to captivate it, because it's just too much for anyone who doesn't like it. You're like, fucking hell.
Even when you do like it, it's like God. By the time you've watched the AMA, the MXGP, and you need to set a full day aside. Yeah.
It's fucking mad. Like it is mental how that, and I can't see it how it's viable like that. Well, in America, they only showed the second motos on the TV. You know, like that's because it makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's my little rant over with that.
And can we put your phone on silent, please, Mr. Swan?
It's not mine.
Yeah.
No, it was mine playing through. It's linked up to the laptop, so it was playing through.
I told you. Yeah, they played me.
So I'll take that back.
You've got me looking at it now.
So obviously we've got a new promoter for the British Championship Series, which is going to give things a little bit of a shake up, hopefully. John, what do you think could be changed with the British sort of from previous rounds?
Well, it looks like there's going to be kids in there next year, doesn't it? I think. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know if does MD know how that's working yet?
Yeah, so we're looking at we're still trying to work out a format at the moment with that, but a few of the rounds, I think there's going to be 9 British rounds, so that'll be adults,
right?
And you won't have sort of like autos and 65s, so it'll be from 85s up, so it'll be very similar to what's been going on, but they wanted to create, I think, more of a feeder class, so similar to what's been going on with the MXGP stuff. But I think combining, obviously having the kids there and the adults, it'll give the kids a bit more drive to look towards where they could be in the next few years. But then also the adults and stuff that are there, they'll be able to give a bit more feedback back to the kids. So, I mean, what's your thoughts on it?
What's my thoughts on the kids being there?
Yeah, because it's been very mixed. So we've had a few riders say they don't think that they should be there. We've had a few riders really keen for it.
I think if they're on the Saturday, it's fine. But like, for example, we did the MX Nationals this year, and it's a long day. Like if you were a spectator coming to watch that,
it's a long day for you, is it?
Yeah. Like it's obviously it's great that everyone's got their own classes, but I think for a main British Championship, if you're a spectator coming to watch that, the spectators really want to come and watch the big bikes.
It's tough, isn't it?
So when you've got a 2-hour break in between or whatever it is, it's even myself, sometimes you feel like I could almost go for an afternoon nap in between the races. So
it's a big gap, isn't it? It's a lot. It's a lot of filling in.
But you can see why they have all the classes, and it gives everyone a chance. So I think they do a good job. But from a spectator's point of view, like
I don't know if you'd have quite quite as big gap though at the British, would you? Because you haven't got, like, as far as I know, Sophie, you're not going to have like clubman classes and things like that, are you? And all that sort of stuff.
I think there might be, but there won't be as many as like what there is at MX Nationals.
Yeah. So
I think they've just tried to simplify a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but then you've got a load of kids as well, haven't you? I can see where John's coming from. It's just hard to get. It is nice as I think as the kids' point of view, John. It's brilliant for them because they can see. They're like, oh God, that's 20 seconds off his lap. Like,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
And also the track, the lines, and how the track will develop as well. Like on the Sunday, it'll be way different to what they've ridden. I think that's what's good about the MX Nationals as well. It sort of drags them on a little bit because I think as stereotypical like BSMA tracks, when it was just the kids, it would be the track would form completely. It'd be nothing like when you've got the big bikes going around.
Yeah. I'm not too sure about that, but the answer is...
it's tough, isn't it? There's pros and there's cons, isn't there? There's always... you're always going to be in a middle ground, aren't you, I think, with that.
Defo. Yeah. So heading into next year team-wise, you're obviously sticking with the same guys, John?
Yeah, still with Gabriel, KTM. Remember, staying on KTM machinery, yeah.
Oh, lovely. That's good.
Well done.
Did you see... Callum last night about this swap round with Cab Screen?
Yeah, Yamaha.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming, did you?
No, I didn't. No, I had no idea. I think they've been struggling to get funding from Honda for the last few years. I don't think they've had anything, if I'm honest. Mm-hmm. And then with obviously Honda and all the Japanese manufacturers selling record numbers of bikes, have decided to cut budgets to teams, which is makes so much sense. Makes all the sense in the world. The whole power sport industry has done so well out of COVID that they've decided to cut riders' budgets, and it just makes so much sense. Greedy DUNT syndrome springs to mind.
Does not make sense at all.
It's a fucking joke, and I don't care who's listening. If you're part of it, you are a fucking joke. And it's just it's not fair on these riders, if I'm honest.
I know, it's like you go out there to make the product. Go out there and make the product look good, or people see you at the track and then you get virtually nothing back. Like it seems like the whole budget's taken up by one person, and or like one team get for example, you were mentioning Honda. And
well, we all know where the
whole Honda budget goes. So
we know. And that just happens consistently, doesn't it? And then Honda at the minute, I think they're even cutting back for those guys, and they're cutting back for everybody. And it's just like an MXGP and all of that. Everything's being cut back. Yet all of the like if you speak to RFX or Pico, everybody has outsold any other year that's ever existed in everything. There's more money that's coming to power sports than there ever has been. I mean, I get that they need to put reserves because we don't know what's going to happen next year with the economy and things like that. But fuck me, like, come on, like, what is happening?
Yeah,
it's a joke, really. And like Paulhan was saying in that rant the other day, what you were alluding to earlier. There's riders paying hundreds of thousands of euros for these that you should not be able to pay in any circumstance to have a factory bike. It should not. It should not be. It should not be allowed. It should not be possible. A manufacturer like Yamaha or whatever should not. That should not be. No, it's just.
And
it
there's lots and lots of good riders, even on a smaller scale, that just miss out on rides because there's maybe somebody that's not as good as them, but they're willing to put 30 or 40 grand into a team. Yeah. All
the time. They'll have, when you're coming up through the EMX and say you've got, say that Dega Procross Husqvarna, you'll have like 3 guys on there who are all equally good in EMX. They probably swap and tangle with different results between the 3 of them. But the one that will go on and do something is the one with the biggest bank account. And it wouldn't necessarily be on talent unless you get pulled in through the Red Bull KTM program. That's the only team that actually do it properly.
Yeah.
That's the only team that do it properly, and they pick riders on their ability and their talent. Like, well, I know for a fact they actually pick them very scientifically through knowing what their athletic capabilities are and shit like that. It's bizarre how they do it. They don't necessarily. They don't now. They've gone to the extent where they don't actually pick the fastest riders anymore. There's actually more that goes into the testing behind who they're going to.
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, it's clever how they do it now. They know you can do lots of. There's so much more science in there behind an athlete now. I think it's more to it than the kid who can just swing the throttle wide open.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as I know, it's pretty much only the Red Bull KTM factory team that develop riders through, and I don't think financial incentives is much to do with where you end up. But to get that seat, you've got to be very special, haven't you? Anyway.
Yeah, there's one or two, isn't there?
Yeah, I think Conrad Muse actually had it, didn't he? Or at least some support.
Yeah, in the 125s, and then he had that factory Husky ride.
He did, yeah, and that was all through that. I think you've just got to be quite a special person to get there. But that's how all the teams need to be operating. It's like Paul said, it's sad that people pay for those seats. And then you've got someone like Paulan who's only paid €500,000 a year, and I say only, that is nothing for what that guy's doing. Like when you look in superbikes and Formula One, $500,000 is a joke.
Yeah, they're earning millions, especially like you say, F1.
It's a joke.
Even in BSB.
I know, they're earning millions.
It just doesn't make sense.
I think if you asked all the motocrossers, they'd still rather ride their dirt bike round in circles.
I bet. Yeah, for
You're
sure.
never really there for the money, are you? It's just great to go and do that at the weekend.
Yeah,
for sure. But I think, I don't know what you feel like, John. When you get to that elite level, the speed that they're riding at in the top 10 of MXGP, that takes so much to be there. I'm talking dietitians, doctors, fucking personal training all the time. So much goes into being that sharp, and if the reward doesn't weigh up to the risk, then you're just not going to do it. And I mean, I'm not going to speak for someone like Tommy, but I'm pretty sure that's where he's weighed stuff up in his head. It's it's just not worth it. It is not worth.
You can't really live a normal life either, can you? If you're doing that GP circuit and blah de blah, that is your life. It's not and then I think once you get a young family or whatever, your interests turn elsewhere. Yeah.
So everyone goes through phases, don't they, in life? And a lot of those guys as well, they've probably never even had, like you said, where you went out and stuff when you was 18 and enjoyed your life. Yeah. They haven't had that. Ever.
Yeah, definitely. It's almost and it's quite a selfish life. Like a motocrosser, you just need you always seem to put yourself or the bikes first, and it's everything's kind of structured around that. So I guess
because it's an addiction.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So I guess you get to a point in your life where it's not even the risk that it's not worth it, but it's just there's other things that are more important to you.
Yeah. When you go through
that all sounded a bit too serious then, didn't it?
The rehab of having a child. I think having a child in motocross is equivalent to rehab for a crackhead, I think.
Oh God, is that what you found happened to you, Callum?
Yeah. Just sort of retired the crackhead life, and that's it.
Oh God. So let's have your thoughts on how you think it's going to pan out next year. Obviously, people are throwing dates out left, right, and centre. There seems to be a lot of planning, obviously, because we've missed out so much this year. But what happens, for example, if it turns around and goes, oh, by the way, COVID's not going anywhere. We've got another however many months in lockdown. How do you think that's going to pan out?
That could be damaging, very damaging.
Yeah.
I think as much as people go, I'm not taking a vaccine that's been developed here. It's right, okay, well, but you're all right to go and bang a load of drugs up your nose on the weekend that Dave's fucking mixed up in his bedroom. If this vaccine will get me out of the house, I'll just give it me now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think we just, fingers crossed, we can there's something happens that helps ease situations, even if vulnerable people get a bit of help first with stuff like that. And it's the only way that we're going to see normal life again, because the medical machine won't let it happen any other way.
Yeah.
The big pharmaceutical companies, there's too much invested in all that stuff, and I think we won't see normal life until that time.
Yeah. How do you think that's going to affect the championships and obviously teams and bits and bobs like that?
I don't know. What about you, John? Have you had any difficulty with sponsors and stuff?
Yeah, it would just be nice to have a set a set date, or just like so you knew exactly what was happening. But it's all just even now they've released the dates, but you're still, as you say, you're still thinking, is it actually going to happen? Or everyone's so uncertain of what's going to happen that it's hard to plan in advance. Yeah, and I think for companies and everything, that's just the case. The only date that's ever certain at the minute is the date you're going to get locked in your house. Yeah, it's tough. I think it's very tough. I don't know how going into next year. I think companies, like even myself, like I'm not going to give the figure on how much I feel that I've lost this year financially, but it's it's 5 figures, and that's massive. That's massive. It could nearly 6 figures. It's massive, and I think that's scary. That's really scary, and that's not just me. And there's a lot of people like me who've had maybe bounce back loans from the government and this, that, and the other. But how long does that last?
Yeah.
How long does that last? Because a lot of companies are just relying on like what the government are going to do. Fortunately, I'm okay now and we're working again. Everything's normal. But there's a lot of companies that aren't. Imagine if like pubs and restaurants, cinemas, and and all this money is all. The whole economy is going to be a very, very difficult place for any businesses over the next few years, I think. Yeah.
What do you think, John? Have you had any troubles with work and things like that?
Well, not really. I just work in the Gabriel workshop and play on my bike, so it's just been business as usual, really. Even like the only difference is needing to get COVID tests and printing off forms for going abroad. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I don't think. It's not. I've just been lucky that it's not really affected me too much. Even when lockdown first happened, I stayed on my pal's farm. They've got a huge farm, and so it was just like it's an isolated life up there anyway. Didn't really seem any different. And stuff. Yeah, like there's acres and acres of land that does nothing. Yeah. Like if you were there on your bike, nobody would even know you were there. So we just a grass track so that we were sort of safe. I tried to not have any of my big crashes. Things were good.
Yeah, God, he don't want a lodger, does he, up there? I'll be on my way.
It's just scary times what we're facing, isn't it? And I think as far as dates go and stuff, we just have to play it by ear, aren't we?
It's just uncertainty, and like that goes back to the sponsorship as well. Like I think people, as you say, they don't really know what's going to happen, so they're looking after themselves first, quite rightly, rather than helping others. Mm-hmm. So
you've got to. Even myself, I mean, I've always been, always helped out sponsored riders and stuff, sponsored Josh and all other people. And going into next year, I am really going to have to sit down and go, really, my family's got to come first.
Oh, definitely.
I still want to help people. I don't want to be in a position where I've just pulled back completely, but it's definitely going to change. Definitely. I can't. There's a little girl that I sponsor, Olivia. I buy her bikes and stuff like that. And I really am going to have to look at everything and look at how, and I don't want any of them to listen to this and be frightened, because I will always take care of them. But it's got to, I've got to weigh things up, because I've got a family now. I've got a little boy, and definitely this year has been shocking for me financially. So, scary, really is scary.
So I reckon that will round up episode 21 with Mad John and Mr. Callum Swan. Kind of rhymes that, doesn't it, really?
Lord Callum Swan, actually, to you.
Oh, Christ, here we go. I was waiting for that. But no, John, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And Swanee, I might ask you again, might not. See how you get on.
Hey, that's fine by me. That's fine by me. I just go with the flow. It was sort of last minute anyway, wasn't it? I'm like going mountain biking this morning. Swanee, can you do a podcast? I'm like, yeah. Never cycled so fast in all my life around that bit.
Oh, gosh.
No, I enjoyed it.
Good.